Hello and welcome to the Oak Road Hatter podcast. I'm your host, Finley Cannon, as always, and I'm joined by Adam Driscoll, as per usual. Adam, how are you doing?
Yeah, good mate. It's been a while since we spoke. Obviously, quite a lot has happened, but yeah, I'm feeling positive. I can see your Movember is going better than mine. 5 days in, I don't know if that's a plan of yours.
It wasn't in my plans. I've done it before. It's a bit easy sometimes for me, and I don't want to shame some people with my my heavy moustache by the end of the month.
No, I mean it's a polar opposite for me as well. I've been growing this for about 2.5 years, so yeah, it's a struggle, but never mind.
Yeah, I've been growing this for about 2 weeks. Yeah, we'll be talking all things Luton as always. We'll be looking ahead to the trip to Stockport on Saturday, which I'm sure a lot of you listening are very, very excited about. I'm looking forward to going there, and it's not an away ground I've been to before. Going for a bit of a night out in Manchester afterwards as well, which should be fun. And we'll also be talking a bit about some of the recent results for Luton as well. And it's been a positive couple of weeks since Wilshere came in and sort of he's hit the ground running after that first game against Mansfield. And we'll be talking all about that. But before that, don't forget to check out our other content from the Luton Fan Content Day when we interviewed Chris Powell, Jack Wilshere, Gary Sweet, and spoke to a couple of the other people at the club. If you go to our YouTube, you can find our interviews with both Chris Powell and Jack Wilshere. And if you go to oakroadhatter.com, you'll find Adam's interview with Gary Sweet, which we've written up for you on there. And we've also got some bonus content on YouTube at the moment. It's an interview with Andrew Shinney, so check that out if you haven't already. But let's get straight into it. And we mentioned there the good results we've had recently. It's 3 wins from 3 in all competitions. We've obviously spoken about that Northampton win earlier on. But after that, we went on to win 3-1 against Brighton and 4-3 with a late winner against Forest Green Rovers. And we'll have to start with that Forest Green game because it was chaotic. I think it's fair to say. I think a lot went on, and I'm sure the TV cameras were absolutely delighted about that.
Yeah, if ever a game summed up the life of being a Luton fan, it felt like that really. I mean, we were comfortable at 3-0, albeit I don't think we played well. I was watching the game at home, and I don't think we actually played that well. I think we took a couple of chances with Fanny, and the second goal was a goalkeeper's mistake from them. But even at 3-0 up, I was thinking we've not really got out of first gear here at all. And Forest Green played some pretty good stuff. You have to give credit to them. What I didn't expect to happen was what came next from sort of the 60th minute onwards, which was just an onslaught of however you describe Forest Green shirts. I mean, they're pretty tragic, aren't they? I'm sorry if anyone from Reflow is listening, but they are shocking. But just an onslaught, and before you know it, we were just crumbling. Every time one of their players ran at us, we just crumbled. So I certainly didn't see that coming at 3-0. Obviously, I'm pleased that we've gone on to get the winner, that we've not had to go to penalties or whatever the format is now. I think is it straight to pens instead of a replay.
Extra time and penalties.
Yeah, so like that's the last thing you really want, especially having been 3-0 up. But yeah, they don't have to make you stress when you're watching, don't they?
But we did show some really good character, and that's something we've commented on at times, particularly last season, was the need for a bit of character on the side. And Kadua stepped up late again. He's done that a couple of times now, and he put one away to make it 4-3 in added time and get the win and get us through to the second round. And we've got another exciting game in the second round because we're going to Fleetwood away. So anyone who's looking to go out in Blackpool, I'm sure you'll be very pleased with that draw, because the last time we were meant to go up to sort of that area of the country for the Blackpool away game, it obviously got moved. So it's a winnable second round, and hopefully we can get into the third round, as we've discussed before. It'd be great to get into that third round of the FA Cup.
Yeah, I do detect a little bit of sarcasm in your comment around an exciting second round tie. Apologies to any Fleetwood fans, but Yeah, I mean, look, I think for me this season, the Virtue Trophy and the FA Cup are not a priority. I know people talk about, well, you've only got to win one more game in the FA Cup, and you get to the third round, and you might get a big tie. I see it a bit differently now that we've been to the Prem and we've had those big games on a weekly basis. It's not quite as glamorous as it once was, um, and it's not like we need the money for getting a big tie and being on telly. This we're in a different phase at the club, post Premier League. So I'm not really looking at the FA Cup and thinking, oh yeah, a run would be great. The only reason that they're good, and extending our time in both of those competitions will be good, is for getting players back fit. For giving minutes to returning players, to the likes of a Dauphin, Izzy Jones. If we see Adebayo at some point in the next few months, potentially, there's enough players that we're trying to bring back to full fitness for the league games, and those games, on the side, are a good reason, or a good option to be able to do that. But beyond that, I'm not personally looking at those thinking I'm that fussed how far we go. Um, the only exception is obviously if you get to the semis of the Virtue Trophy and you're one game from Wembley, then yes, because everybody wants to see their team play at Wembley. I've been fortunate enough to see Luton play at Wembley 3 times, and we've been victorious twice. So I certainly wouldn't turn my nose up at another trip to Wembley to watch Luton.
In terms of the FA Cup, I actually I disagree in some ways with you there. I think given the limited away games a lot of Luton fans were able to go to in the Premier League, I think that a huge number of Luton fans would be very keen to draw a big side in the FA Cup if we got to the third round. Maybe like a Man United away, because you could take 6,000-7,000 like we did against Newcastle all those years ago when we were in League Two, and having that opportunity for a lot of fans to go to an Old Trafford or an Emirates or somewhere like that and really pack out more than just the away end, really fill up what the allocation is, I think would be really great, and I think it would bring the fans together even more than they currently are. I think it has the ability to do that, and I'm a bit of a romantic for the FA Cup, despite my age. I think a lot of people question whether younger fans are still that like optimistic or romantic about the FA Cup, but I think it's my main area of traditionalism is where the FA Cup is in mind, and I love a team that goes on like a lower league team or a non-league side that goes on an FA Cup run and beats some bigger sides in there, and I'd love for us to do that as well because yeah, I just think it has so much to give, and I think for me it's not a priority. The priority is obviously the league, and that will be the priority for everyone at the club, but having that potential for an FA Cup run is really exciting.
Yeah, I get that perspective, and like, I love the FA Cup in normal circumstances, but I still look at it and go, there's a load of opportunity for us still this season, and I would hate for that to be a distraction. But I completely get the romantic side, as you are a true romantic. I completely understand that as well.
Oh, of course, I'm an absolute lover, not a fighter. But no, let's talk a bit more about those results. And a couple of things in particular. We've seen Fane really hit the ground recently. Like since the Northampton game, he seems to have stepped up, and we're starting to really see what the club identified in him when they went after him. I think that he's been given that box to box role, and he is absolutely thriving at the moment. And I think playing under someone like Wilshere, who was a really high level midfielder, is certainly helping.
Yeah, and I mean, he's whether we're playing. It seems under Wilshere at the moment we're kind of either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-1-4-1. But Fane isn't playing as a DM. He's playing as a progressive centre mid and potentially, in some cases, even an attacking midfielder. Now, I didn't like what we saw from him in that role when Edwards brought him into the team. When he joined us last January or this January, it would have been this January, wouldn't it? It didn't do much in that position, and you thought, well, we've signed this guy as a DM. What are we doing? But I have to say, he is evolving into a player with that flexibility and with the ability to play, all three of those kind of central roles. And he's popping up with goals as well. So I like what we're seeing from him. I think he looks sharper, he looks fitter, and he's one of those players that just needs a run in the team to really get his own confidence up, and for the rest of us to kind of understand what he does, and obviously the guys that he's playing with to know what he's about as well. So it's it's really encouraging, and he's still very young. I think he's still early 20s. Um, so definitely going to be one to watch, for the next 5 6 months, and hopefully into next season as well.
And another player who's been on the score sheet, well, a couple of players actually, and I think it's really important for them as strikers is obviously Yates and Wells. Yates got two against Brighton under 21s, which is obviously people would see that as a lesser opposition because they are young players he's playing against, but he still got on the score sheet twice, which for a striker is so important. And Wells, who's come under really heavy criticism this season, which at times has been justified for some of his performances in front of goal, but he got two against Forest Green, which I think for him is massive for his confidence. I think you can see it in the way he celebrates goals. He's such a confident striker, and against Northampton when we scored that late goal, you could see in his celebration in particular, he looked angry in how he celebrated almost. And I think that says a lot about how important it is for him that we are successful and that he as an individual is successful as well. So those two players getting on the score sheets is massive for us going forward.
Yeah, and like individually, there, Wells is someone that's dropped down a level. Um, would have expected a lot more from himself so far this season. Obviously, would expect a lot more from himself with penalties, and he's missed a couple. Um, so I think the frustration from him is probably quite visible. And when he does miss a chance, he's going to be annoyed with himself. So it is really important for him to get those goals. I mean, ironically, I think he missed a couple of good chances as well. He missed one for a hat trick just after he got his second, and that was quite an easy chance. But for me, the best thing about that is that he's getting in those positions, and he is starting to get those goals as well. So it's only positive from that perspective. Um, I mean, Yates is a slightly different one. I think he has been a bit more limited with game time, and I'm not 100% sure that he will be the starting striker, anytime soon. I might be wrong on that, but that's just kind of the feeling I'm getting so far. Um, but you have to take your hat off to him as well. I mean, his assist for Kadua in the 92nd minute, you know, to to play that ball with the weight that he did into an area where Kadua can just step into it and slam it. It's quite a difficult skill under all that pressure. When you've got a matter of minutes to go. So yeah, definitely have to kind of acknowledge that. And again, for him, hope that assist can be the start of something, and really kind of lift his confidence as well.
Yeah, because it is, I think, maybe the one area that people are still a bit concerned about is that striker and who's going to put the goals away consistently at this level because we do have a lot of options there. So both of those players getting goals is obviously really, really important. Another player obviously popped up in the week with that goal was Finley Evans, and it's funny to think that he was born in 2009. I guess we spoke about it in the group chat, and
Yeah.
I think there was some slight crisis realizations there from some people to think 2009. How is a player that age scoring for a professional football club already? It is just wild. But he looks really, really promising, and then you think maybe he'll be given a few opportunities in that competition in particular this season.
Yeah, and the thing that really baffled me was I mentioned earlier on around the times I've been to Wembley to watch Luton. One of those was the JPT in April 2009. And we think that Finn Evans was 3 months old, having been born in the January of 2009. So, you put that in perspective. This guy was 3 months old when Claude Napka did his famous lob and won us the JPT, which, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I suppose it goes to show that we're getting old or older. Um, so yeah, but I mean, fair play to him. I think Reegs was saying about him to us in our group chat. I saw the Luton News guys, saying that he's a defender with a really good left foot that's progressive and has an eye for goal as well, and they absolutely nailed it between those guys. Now, clearly, his opportunities will be a bit limited. And again, like the reasons that it's good for staying in the Virtue Trophy or the FA Cup is that someone like him can get more game time. But I wouldn't expect him to be, thrown into kind of the first team off the back of that. He still needs to progress naturally and go down that pathway that gives him the time to keep developing as well. But amazing to see an academy guy scoring and breaking the record that's stood for quite a long time before.
Yeah, it is great to see players from the academy obviously getting into the first team, and you can see there is that promise because I think the club rate the academy very, very highly, particularly with some of the players that have come through recently, the likes of Nelson and Evans. And it would be good to see a few of them getting into the side in the future and really establishing themselves as those local players because I think fans do feel more of a connection, especially when there's local players in the side. And I think that is a great opportunity for them. Um, I don't know how long it will take for someone like Evans to establish himself, given that he is only 16, and what most players don't tend to start playing regular first team football until they're in maybe probably 19, 20. So it could be a few years yet before we start seeing him regularly. But I think that left footedness as well is massive in terms of opportunities for him because it does give us that balance when he plays.
Yeah, it's a really tough act, and the guy and Joe Deeney and the guys in the academy will attest to that. How do you can't throw someone in because they're showing signs in the hope that they don't get poached by another club. Like you can't rush first team opportunities because you're worried about your top talents getting snapped up by Tottenham and Arsenal and Chelsea, and we've seen this before with lots of Luton academy players. But you do need that pathway as well. It's a real tough thing to do, and I know the club, and we found this out the other week. Behind the scenes, they're working really hard on pushing the academy to the top level, and the infrastructure that you need to be able to do that, so we can stop players from being poached by some of those big boys. But that's inevitably going to happen because if you've got a kid who's 16 or 15 or whatever, probably hasn't got an agent, is probably their parent or something like that, or their guardian. And you're at Luton, and with the greatest of respect, they say, "Oh, Arsenal or Chelsea or Tottenham want you in their academy." You've got to be incredibly loyal to not have your head turned by that. So it's really really tough. I think we've under the assumption that there's some good stuff going on with the academy development stuff, and maybe some news next year on infrastructure. But yeah, it's a tough one to be able to balance that. I think in answer to your question, I would say that Evans needs to carry on doing exactly what he's doing for a good couple of years, and then we see where we're at. If we're in the Championship, particularly next season, it makes it a lot harder to bring that sort of guy through. If we're in League One, potentially there's an earlier opportunity to see him and a few others as well.
But really, we want to be in the championship, so it's sort of
Exactly.
it's a difficult situation for the club and for him, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Like we want to get to the highest level. The higher you go, the harder it is to bring through your academy products, and the harder it is to bring them through, the harder it is to keep them. So it is counterintuitive, and I don't envy the task of all those guys that we saw behind the scenes last week or a couple of weeks ago, because their job is not just developing players; it's developing their human traits, but then also trying to keep them at the club because they are employed by Luton Town as well.
Yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that I don't think anyone not linked to the club knows about with the academy because it is such an important part of every football club. And I guess with a situation like Sheffield Wednesday, you can see why that is, and I'm sure that is a conversation for another time and probably another podcast. But when clubs like Sheffield Wednesday are forced into a position where they're having to play academy players, you can see how important it becomes for a side like that, and how challenging it can be when a side is have to play what 5 or 6 kids every week. But that is not what we're focusing on right now, and we'll be talking all about Luton's trip to Stockport as the Hatters host the Hatters after this break. Welcome back to the Oak Road Hatter podcast, where you're still joined by myself, Finley Cannon, and Adam Driscoll as we talk all things Luton Town. And yeah, we're off to Stockport on Saturday as Luton face Stockport, obviously. And the Hatters are facing the Hatters, and it's been the first time in some time that's happened. I think if you look at the head-to-heads, the last time we faced each other was in March 2013. So it has been absolutely ages since we played each other, and that was in the National League. We played them a few times in the National League, and before that was even further back when we played in the EFL. So the last time we faced them, our goal scorers came in the form of Steve McNulty, and before that Jake Howes. So it's been a while, and there's a lot has changed for both sides since. And whilst we're on, I guess, slight downward momentum recently, given that we went all the way up and then are coming back down, and hopefully we're going back up again. Stockport have really been on the up recently, so it'll be a tough game for Luton. They've won their last four, but we've won our last three. That's in all competitions, and there's been some players hit form recently. So Adam, so who do you think will be key for us?
Oh, well, I mean, that's the $1 million question because we don't really at this stage have an understanding of like who's fit. I mean, we spoke last time around our wide attacking areas and the strength that's coming back there, and I still look at those positions for us as being absolutely key. Particularly with scoring goals, which we're not scoring enough goals by any means. So it's really hard to pinpoint certain players, but I mean, who do we think is going to play? I'm just trying to remember who played on in the wide areas in the cup game. Did Who do we have? Because Shaden Morris is injured, isn't he?
Yeah, we had Jones and Richards sort of in those wide areas. Richard seems to be popular at the moment with Wilshere.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? And he seems to be getting more game time. I mean, I'm not sure who exactly individually is going to be key, but I think it's important that we get some sort of regular or fairly regular team out on the pitch now. And I think midfield, obviously we've spoken about before. You've got Saville, hopefully Jordan Clark in there as well. Fanny, so you might have Saville and Fanny, and Clark goes higher up. But if I had to call out one, I'm going to back my nominated player of the season in Jordan Clark because I just think he's crucial to everything we do. Creativity, flair, effort. I want him on the pitch at all times. So I think for me, he's massive for Saturday and way beyond that as well.
Yeah, and another player who is really important to what we do, despite having a couple of difficult performances this season, is Ted Mengi. Obviously, we've spoken about him so many times. How when he's fit or fully fit and firing, he's probably the best centre back in the division. And I think a lot of people you'd struggle to find someone who can compete with that because he is just absolutely he's a Rolls Royce of a defender in terms of his strength and his power as well. And you can see when he's really committed, and he seems to be committed at the moment to the club. Like everything that's being said about him, and he's posting himself, he clearly cares, and that's exactly what we want. And we've spoken about it so much as well. And he's absolutely crucial to the way we line up across that defence because I think he's the one constant in that back four.
He is a Rolls Royce that is on the forecourt of a Skoda garage right now. Like he clearly sticks out with his ability. I mean, we can question his mentality, I think, but we need to stop doing that. And I'd hope other fans will as well because I've seen a bit more from him of late that suggests that he is invested and does want to be here. So let's trust that. Let's get behind him. I don't. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think there is a better defender in League One. I think he's comfortably the best defender in League One, and probably on his day one of the best in the Championship. So yeah, I mean, we need to keep him fit. We need to make sure that we give him the right partner as well. We've been quite critical of that. I think there are certain players he can play with and certain players that he can't because of their attributes and maybe pace. But yeah, he's so crucial to us and really someone that I want to see. I just want to see him in the lineup as much as possible and showing us what he did in that Premier League season, because he was just head and shoulders for us above anyone else, really.
Yeah, we've mentioned both midfield and defence there, and they will have a bit of a battle on their hands against Stockport because that is probably their strongest areas in midfield and up front through sort of Wootton, Diamond, Nathan Lowe in attacking areas, and then obviously in midfield they've got Ollie Norwood. And I asked Steve from the Scarf Bagara War podcast all about their team. I'm now joined by Steve from the Scarf Bagara War podcast, a Stockport County fan podcast. How are you doing, Steve?
Yeah, all good, mate. Bit of a crazy week already, but always good to talk football. So, yeah, thanks for having me.
And we're talking all things Stockport versus Luton. Obviously, it's been quite some time since we played you, not just in a competitive fixture, but in a league fixture. We haven't met at all since March 2013 when we played twice in that month. And before that, we haven't met in the Football League, since 2004, 2005, probably 2004.
Yeah, I was having a look, and I think we've only played something like 24 games ever in the league. It's like we're just two clubs that have not really crossed paths, and we've still both got the same name in terms of the Hatters, so it's quite bizarre. And I think your record over us in recent years has been pretty good, to be honest. I don't think we've won since 1968, I checked, which is before my time.
Yeah, we were looking at sort of the players who've featured for Luton or scored against Stockport for Luton, and the last two goal scorers we had against you were Steve McNulty and Jake Howes, which brings back some very, very positive memories for Luton fans, but it was quite some time ago. So I think a lot of Luton fans are looking forward to the trip up to Edgeley Park.
Yeah, you've sold out your allocation as well, I believe, so should be good.
We have, yeah. It was one that seemed to go very, very quick. People were keen to get there.
Yeah. Have you seen the new stand though that you're going to be in? Have you seen any pictures of that?
I've seen the gazebo sort of stand.
Yeah. It gets better every week. Honestly, they've put a back on it now, so you will be dry, so you're not going to get soaked, and you can create a bit more atmosphere under it now because you couldn't get an atmosphere before just being an open end. So now with the roof and the back on it, you might appreciate it. Just all the stanchions they're going to be in your way is going to be the problem.
We're used to that at Kenilworth Road anyway.
I believe so.
In the way. So let's talk about your season so far, because at the moment you're top of League One. Is that something you expected this soon in the season?
We expected to be up there. I mean, I thought you guys would be up there as well, to be honest, when we looked at the season before it started. And last year we finished third. I think if you look at all the stats, we were kind of the second best team in the league, but it doesn't mean anything. Stats does it. It's the points that matter at the end of the day. And we didn't do well in the playoffs, got knocked out by Orient, I think it was. But we're very competitive, and we had a good team last season. And we're on a bit of a journey. I don't know how much you know about us, but we were kind of took over in the COVID season by a guy who he brought a director of football, and the idea was a 7-year plan to get us from the conference to the championship. And this is year 6. So when we moved into League One last year, they bought players with a view to it taking 2 to 3 years to get to the championship. So that was always the plan. And like I say, we were close last year, but it was kind of like a free hit last year. But the expectations gone up a bit this year because we did so well. But yeah, so one of the problems we had is we lost a lot of defenders pre-season. I think we lost 7 defenders, only left with 2 out of the squad. And that caused us some problems early on where we're trying to, bed in a few new defenders. We've just had horrific injuries all season. It seems to be season after season, horrific injuries. But yeah, that's took a bit of while to bed in, but it seemed to be gelling at last, which has kind of seen us rise up the table a little bit because we've just stopped conceding goals.
And we've been on sort of different directions in the last couple of seasons. You've made your way up through the divisions whilst we've gone up and then started coming back down again. So, I mean, we're hoping we stop at this point and go back up again, as you'll also be hoping you continue that upward momentum.
Yeah. And we've been on similar paths, haven't we? I mean, going into non-league, I think you went into non-league a couple of years before us. And then kind of we dropped into the National North, which was 5 or 6 horrific years, to be honest. But we kind of always watched kind of your rise as you came out of the conference, and then you went through the divisions. I think it took you 3 years, did it, to get from the Championship to the Prem, something like that?
Yeah, we weren't there long.
Yeah, so it's kind of been interesting to watch you guys go up the table, and then it's kind of surprising from our perspective to see you drop down to League One. But we're really expecting you to be competitive this year. So maybe you just had a slow start.
Yeah, it seems like it's sort of turning round a bit under Wilshere. He's got 3 wins in his last 3 games in all competitions, which obviously you're coming into this game with 4 wins in all competitions in a row. So both sides coming into the game on good form. Let's talk about your squad as well, because you've got some pretty well-known players for people who know the EFL fairly well, the likes of Ollie Norwood and Ben Osborne as well.
Yeah, I mean, Ollie Norwood signed at the beginning of last season, probably about 3 weeks into the season, and he was training with us. He had no club, and we let him train with us all summer. And he was 33, and they offered him a 3-year contract. And most Stockport fans were thinking, what's going on here? You don't offer a 33-year-old a 3-year contract, but the guy is just amazing. He is absolutely central to everything that goes on. With even, there's a debate going on now that he's possibly the greatest midfielder we've ever had at the club. He is that good. So he's just phenomenal to watch. And you've probably seen him in your Championship days, maybe your Prem days. The guy just sprays kind of 40-yard passes all over the pitch. And he plays like 40, 50 games a season as well, which is amazing. So he's been incredible. Ben Osborne came in on transfer deadline day. I think they brought him in to be a midfielder, but he's been playing left wing back for us. And he's been fantastic, and he's coincided with the turn in form. Only problem is he got injured on Saturday, so I think he pulled his hamstring, so he won't be playing on Saturday against you guys, which is a shame for us. But fortunately, our other wing back came back on Saturday, so we do have one, but I don't think he's fully fit, so it's going to be an interesting decision on there. So those guys are fantastic. I don't know how much you know about the squad in terms of other players to watch.
Well, the likes of Nathan Lowe and Carl Wootton are obviously key for you in those attacking areas. Wootton's your top scorer, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, Cal Wotton's been on a bit of a journey with us. We got him from Notts County, and he's a man mountain. He's 6'3", so there's a lot of players bigger than him. I mean, Nathan Lowe's 6'4", but everything goes through Cal Wotton. You'll get pulled up for fouls all throughout the game, whether he's being fouled or whether it's your defenders doing the dark arts on him. I don't know. You can never quite tell, but he's fantastic. A really good player. Nathan Lowe joined the club with a good reputation from his time at Walsall last season, but he really didn't hit the ground running. It's only in the last 2 or 3 games he's kind of started to form a partnership with Woods up front. So he's beginning to look pretty good, and he'll definitely start. Them two will start on Saturday for sure.
And Stoke really seem to rate Lowe pretty highly, and obviously,
yeah, they do. And they've actually the manager's come out this week and said he's going to leave him with us for the whole season. Because I think last year at Walsall they recalled him in January, and I think they probably regret doing that. So they've said he's going to stay with us for the season. So that's good news.
Another player we spoke about at the start of the season before he joined you guys on loan is Owen Dodgson or Dogson.
Yeah,
your other left wing back who you mentioned is returning now. Yeah. He's someone myself and Jamie and Adam were talking about at times and saying he'd be a great target to replace Alfie Doughty, but obviously you got there first.
Yeah, fortunately for us. To be honest, he's not set the world on fire yet. He's been solid, dependable, but I think there's more to come from him. He's got a great cross coming in from the left, and when you've got our two in terms of Whoops and Nathan Lowe up front, they'll feed off those crosses. So that's pretty. He's doing okay. I wouldn't say he's doing fantastic, but he's doing decent, and we're going to rely on him. We do have another left wing back that we signed, and he's not kicked a ball yet. So he's called Teo Eden, and they've got he's a player they think is going to do really well, but he's just not got in. The other guy I want to watch is we signed on deadline day from Everton on loan is Tyler Onyango. I think he's 6'4" and he's playing right wing back at the moment, but he's really come on. We had him on loan last season and he didn't really look much special. Saw kind of a few bits from him, but this season it's like Tyler Onyango upgrade. He's like really good, and the defense is pretty solid. Again, good news for you with Brad Hills, who we've signed from Norwich, is out injured. So that's good, but we have got dependable players, to replace them. So pretty solid at the moment.
Yeah, we know all about defensive injuries from our Premier League season and last season as well, where we just could not keep centre-halves fit at all.
It's a nightmare, isn't it? It's just it seems to be all over the pitch. I don't know, and every club I speak to seems to have similar problems. So I don't know if it's the way they train them these days or what, or the intensity of the games. But struggling to keep players fit. Our bare 11, our first 11 is very, very strong. The bench needs to get stronger, and that's where possibly our weakness is. It's not that they're not good enough; they're all coming back from injuries. So none of them can do 90 minutes. They're all, at best 45 minutes maybe. So that's probably one of the weaknesses.
In terms of what Luton fans can expect to see from Stockport on the pitch on Saturday, how do you tend to play at home? Are you front-footed? Do you look for less of the ball?
Yeah, well, to be honest, home or away, we play exactly the same. Dave Challoner, our manager, I don't think he believes in draws, so he goes out to win every single game. You'll have sometimes you'll see it when you're doing well in the season, and one of the lower division teams will come to you and they'll play for a draw. We'll never play for a draw ever, so it's always for the win. We've got kind of his motto is intensity is our identity, so he wants intense football on the front foot. Lots of possession based and hitting the kind of dangerous areas. Most likely, 99% chance it'll be a 3-5-2 that we'll be playing. It's either 3-5-2 or 3-4-3, but he's already said Nathan Lowe's playing on Saturday and Wootton will definitely play. So it's going to be a 3-5-2. I think you guys, are you like a 4-1-4-1, something like that?
Yeah, it's sort of been transitioning from a back three under Edwards and Bloomfield when it was changing a bit.
Yeah.
But now under Wilshere, it seems to have settled in under a back four with sort of one or two holding slightly deeper in midfield and then another one being able to roam a bit. But it seems to be more of a 4-1-4-1 now with Saville, that one sitting deeper. And then we've got Jordan Clark in there with Lamine Fane, who has really stepped up over the last couple of games. He struggled when he joined us initially, and we paid quite a lot of money for him from AIK in Sweden. He helped them into the European positions and then didn't really sort of kick on at all when we first brought him in when he finally joined us. But against Northampton, he got the goal there, and then he scored another and got an assist against Forest Green in the FA Cup. So he's someone who's really hit form recently.
And he's a midfielder, isn't he? Is that right?
He is, yeah. He sort of box-to-box type.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the two teams kind of compete, really, because, like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll stick. I mean, Challoner does like to change things if he studies the opposition, but he seems to be dead set on the 3-5-2. So I'm pretty sure he'll play with wing backs. So it's going to be interesting. The other player to watch is Jack Diamond as well. I don't know if you've come across him.
Yeah, he was at Lincoln City when I was at uni at Lincoln. So I know
he was.
Diamond, he's quite a technical player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he didn't do so great last season. It took him a while to kind of gel. I don't know if it was coming down from Sunderland and kind of, a new location or what, but this season he's really kicked on. He's looking good. He'll constantly be running at you. He will take a shot from the edge of the box, although usually his decision making is not great. But the last two games, he has scored in the last two games with two really good efforts. So, I'm hoping that continues from our point of view.
The midfield will be where the real battle is, I think. You've mentioned Ollie Norwood, and then our midfield three of Saville, Clark and Fane, or whoever takes on those roles will really be sort of battling with Norwood. And is it Odin Bailey that usually plays alongside him?
Yeah, so Odin Bailey's it's an interesting one. So Odin Bailey's been with us a few years, but he was kind of not expected to be in the starting 11. We've had a few injuries. Our captain Lewis Bates not kicked a ball this season. He's not. It's normally Norwood and Bate in the middle. We started this season with Norwood and Owen Moxon. But when we were conceding goals, manager decided to change, the players a little bit, changed a couple of defenders, and at that point he brought Odin Bailey in. Odin Bailey, and he's not looked back. He's been fantastic. He's really developed a good partnership with Ollie Norwood. The interesting thing will be, because we've got the two midfielders, and if you've got the kind of three, Jack Diamond's going to have to do some kind of midfield play to kind of combat that, I would think.
And then the wide areas as well, which you've mentioned already with your wing backs and how much you rely on balls being whipped in for the likes of Carl Wootton and Nathan Lowe in there. When we've just got obviously a couple of players back from injury, in particular Izzy Jones in particular, who people are very, very excited about because he joined in January as we ended up going down last season and hasn't been able to feature until the Northampton game this season. Came on in that game and really just looked like a sort of another level above most of the other players on the pitch.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we've got options in Millie Ali, we've got Kadua as well. So there's some real attacking threat in the wide areas for us.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you thought of Millie Ali, because he started at Stockport years ago, and he was as a youth player with us on our kind of development squad, and he really didn't look much. And we released him, let him go to Halifax, and then he started banging goals in, and I think he went to Exeter, didn't he? And banged a load more goals in. But I just wonder what you guys thought about him.
Yeah, we obviously picked him up from Exeter, and he was pretty inexperienced when we got him, but
Yeah.
he came in last season and looked really good. Whilst we got relegated last season, he scored 4 in that as we got relegated, which is not great in hindsight, the fact that we still got relegated whilst he was scoring a couple, but he looked positive when he played. And there's been a couple of games this season when he's looked positive as well. He scored once this season against Burton. It was a really, really good finish. He's looked like he's really lacked confidence since then, and hopefully Wilshere coming in really makes him thrive. I actually spoke to Jack Wilshere when the club invited us in to meet him and Chris Powell and a couple of others, and he said how much he values wide players like Millie Ali. So I think he will be someone who hopefully thrives under Wilshere.
Yeah, so we, like I say, we're going to be playing wing backs, and the idea is the cross is coming in. Now Dodgson can put a cross in, but Tyler Onyango is not really a typical right winger type of player, so he's not going to be as good with the delivery. So it'll be interesting whether they kind of play a lot down the left or what they do there. I'm not quite sure. But Ollie Norwood will be he'll be putting balls in left, right, and centre, and just don't give him any free kicks on the edge of the area.
I would give the advice back to the club, but I'm not sure they'd be listening much to me.
We have that problem as well.
I'll just ask you for a score prediction ahead of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to back the lads. We don't score a lot at home. One of our problems this season has been scoring goals. We've just kind of started to click with scoring goals, but we've not done it at home yet. So we've never gone into. We've not beat a team at home since the first game of the season by more than 1 goal. I think that's right. And I think you guys will score. So I'm going to go 2-1 to us. I'll be very happy if that's the case.
Okay, so I was going to go for a 2-1 win for Luton in the other direction. I don't know if that's more hope than expectation, but we do feel very positive around Wilshere coming in and the way he sort of shifted to the momentum and sort of the atmosphere around the club. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Luton. So we're both going for 2-1 wins in either direction, and it will be interesting to see what happens on Saturday. But thank you very much for joining.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say it'd be an interesting test for both teams. So, definitely. But no worries. And
where can people find your content?
Yeah, so we're our podcast is called The Scarf Bagara War. It's a combination of an ex-manager called Danny Bagara, who was the first European manager or first foreign manager to lead a team out of Wembley. One of the stands is named after him, and our kind of club anthems, The Scarf My Father Wore. So it's The Scarf Bagara War. We're on all the usual channels. We've also got a website. if you go to scarfbaggarawar.co.uk, and there'll be a whole match centre for the match on Saturday where you'll get details about both teams and stats and everything. So that's worth a look at as well.
Great. Thank you very much for joining me. And we'll see what happens on Saturday. It's interesting what Steve said there, isn't it, Adam? He thinks Oliver Norwood is probably their best. He reckons that he's one of their best players that they've had in maybe the past 10, 15 years, he did suggest. And that is high praise indeed. And he'll be getting on the ball a lot, you'd expect. He's played at the much higher levels, and he didn't look out of place in the Premier League at times for Sheffield United. And he's obviously 33 now, so he's on the older side, but he's still instrumental to everything they do. And he'll have a real battle on his hands with whether it's Clicker or Walsh or Fane who's up against him, and it'd be interesting to see how he gets on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Norwood, I specifically remember when we got relegated from the Prem to the Championship, and I looked at the sort of players that we needed to refresh the squad with. Norwood was on my list when he got let go by Sheffield United, because he's got that experience and that fight and obviously ability. And I was actually quite amazed when he signed for Stockport. He's probably still a comfortable Championship player. I think he's their captain as well. So again, that goes to show the character and what he brings to the team. So we are going to have to match that in midfield. We're going to have the fight and the determination. And if we don't, we will lose the battle in midfield. And if we lose the battle in midfield, as we've done in other games this season, we will probably lose the game. So I think it is so crucial that we're on it in midfield on Saturday.
And you'd expect it would be Saville who would have to sort of try and control Norwood in that area, whilst the defence deal with Kyle Wootton, who is another key player for them, that Steve mentioned, obviously. He said how important he is in front of goal. He's got 6 goals for them already this season and 3 assists as well. And he's very, very, very physical. So someone like Mengi will have to really be on it to compete with him, because whilst they've got the physical presence of Kyle Wootton, Nathan Lowe is also 6 foot plus, I think 6'3", 6'4", and he's a slightly different player. He's more of a poacher, but just quite a big poacher, I guess. Only catching big animals in that poacher sense. But he's someone who's really talented, and Stoke obviously rated him really highly with his couple of loans he's had at Walsall, obviously in particular last year, and he's scored, I think, 3 times already this season, and he's really started to show how key he can be.
Yeah, I mean, and all the things you've said, you can see why they're right up there, top of the league. They've lost a couple of games all season. You've got that bigger focal point of Wootton, and then you've got the trickier, probably without being too disrespectful, football-minded, technically better, let's say, players in the likes of Lowe and Diamond. So whatever our back line is in our midfield, you have to have enough personnel to match all those challenges, but also then to get our own stamp on the game. You know, Wilshire's already said sometimes it has to be about us and how we go about set up and what we want to do on the game, not just worrying about the opposition. So it's definitely going to be, because given the fact that we've had 2 different cup games with rotation since we played Northampton, and in the Northampton game we saw the return of some players, it's going to be really interesting to look at our lineup and our bench when it gets announced, because I think the bench is going to be incredibly strong. And I wouldn't be surprised as well if there are a couple of names in the starting lineup that are in there for the first time this season. So yeah, it's a big one. We need to go there and do something. I think I echo the thoughts of others that I've seen this week, that if we go there and get a point, for me that is progress. And I would take a point going there right now.
Yeah, they are top of the league as it stands, and they look really, really strong. And it wouldn't be surprising if they're there or thereabouts come the end of the season, because of that momentum they've got and that sort of upward direction they've been going in. Hopefully we can be in either a similar or above them position. And it will be a challenge, and getting a result against them, even if it is just a point, will do massive things for the confidence in Wilshere and the confidence in the players as well. And I think it'll really show that there's been a change on the pitch and off the pitch as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is all about momentum. You know, we spoke earlier about the Forest Green game and how I don't think we played very well, but we got the win. And that's really at the moment all that matters, because players are coming back, the squad's getting stronger. If we can keep adding players to the squad while we're on a winning run or carrying momentum, then it can only be positive. And every time in between games, you've got all the guys on the training ground. Wilshere and team are getting their ideas across and starting to form that identity of what they want to see from us as well. So it's all positive. And as I say, like if we went there and got a point and we stay unbeaten over the past 3 or 4 games, then it's only really a positive thing for us.
Yeah, let's go for some score predictions for that game now, because it'll be challenging. It'll be interesting to see what you think. I predicted when I was speaking to Steve from the Stockport podcast that we're going to win 2-1, which was an ambitious call, and I mainly said it to match his prediction from their direction.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about it, and I think, why not? Why can't we go there and win? So that's what I'm going with. And what do you think?
I don't think we're going to keep a clean sheet. What do I think? What do I think? I'm gonna sit on the fence. I'm gonna go 1-1. I think it's going to be a really tough game, if I'm honest. And it will be a test of how far have we come over the past month or so, and can those players coming in have an impact, a really positive impact? But yeah, I'm gonna go for 1-1. And keep everything crossed.
Yeah, it'll be a tough game, and we'd love to know your score predictions as well. If you're watching this, comment on YouTube, and make sure to subscribe as well. Just before we finish, let's talk a bit about what we've been discussing on Twitter today, because we were looking back at the last time we were in League One, and that side that got promoted top of the league, and you just look at it and it was packed full of absolutely quality players. And we wanted to know who people think they would take from that side for our current side. So we've been looking through a few of the suggestions. There's been a lot of shouts of Danny Hilton and a couple for Luke Berry as well. And the ones that seem to be coming through most, and I think we would agree, is Stacey on the right or Justin on the right or left. I think both of them would obviously walk into the side. They'd walk into any League One side, obviously. They're both playing at much higher levels at the moment, albeit Stacey is in a Norwich side that are struggling. But their quality just makes you think what teams can have in this division and what they can produce in our cases with JJ coming through the academy.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the question go out, didn't we? And there's so many that you could just roll off the tongue straight away. Matty Pearson and Sonny Bradley as your centre halves, that nothing got through them, and that's an area that we are weaker, I would say, right now in defence. We're crying out for fullbacks, particularly a right back. Jack Stacey is the one that I said, because not only was he a good defender, the attacking intent from him at right back was exceptional, really. So he's really the one that would slot straight in for me. And when I think about it in more depth of what we're missing, I think someone like him would be absolutely perfect, really.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see how they would sort of play in a very different side, because I spoke to Andrew Shinnie, as I mentioned, and he said having Stacey on that right, just bombing on constantly, was such a big thing for him and how he played. And I think he would really fit into what Wilshire's trying to do with the attacking wide areas. And it would be so much fun to watch. And you'd like to think when Walters comes back from that injury, which seems to be not that far away, he'll start to kick on a lot more than we've seen so far and really get confidence from playing under Wilshere again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he obviously knows Wilshere can play that right back. Probably is better at right back than right wing back as well. So I think that's definitely going to be one to watch. But if anyone hasn't seen the interview with Shinnie yet, then definitely go and have a look. He looks like he started November in November of about 2023, because he's got an amazing tash going on, and I'm going to reach out to him after this to get some tips.
Yeah, check out that video and everything else on our YouTube channel, Oak Road Hatter. and be sure to subscribe. We really appreciate all of the support, and we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. But we hope you've enjoyed watching today's episode, and we'd love to know your thoughts on it as well in the comments, so let us know. But from myself and from Adam, thank you very much for watching or listening, and we'll either see you at Edgeley Park on Saturday or you'll hear from us on Monday.